Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Canton City Council. If everyone could please turn their cell phones to vibrate, and we are also encouraging social distancing here in council chambers. With a quorum being present, the chair calls this meeting of Canton City Council to order. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Smuckler.
Here.
Babcock.
Here.
Schulman.
Here.
Hawk.
Here.
Kimbrough.
Here.
Scaglione.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Fisher.
Here.
Hall.
Here.
Mariel.
Here.
Ferguson.
Here.
Morris.
Here.
12 present, Mr. President.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Tonight's invocation will be given by Council Member at Large Christine Schulman. If you would all please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I ask God's blessing upon this council meeting. We've been elected and empowered by the people of this community to speak out on their behalf. So we ask for the gifts of wisdom and guidance as we work for the good of our city and the neighborhoods we represent.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Member Schulman. Keep going? Okay, that'll be fun. We are now under agenda and corrections and changes. Leader Smuckler.
I ask all you to please bear with me tonight on this. Mr. President, I move Rule 22A be suspended to add second reading of ordinances 13 through 23 to this evening's agenda. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to suspend Rule 22A to add second readings to ordinances 13 through 23 to this evening's agenda. Are there any remarks?
Just a question, technical question. Did we have a second reading of ordinance number 20? Or 21, or 22, or 23, I guess now that I look at it. And which ones did we or did we not?
They were all on first reading. We have to have a second reading on all four.
Okay, so we have not yet had a second reading on those,
Correct.
just for clarification.
That will take place tonight.
Okay.
Well, you know what, we're going to start with this, and when we get down there, I'm just going to keep going through because there might be something else on the agenda that we deal with too at some particular time. Again, I caution everybody, we don't meet for 3 weeks, and we're going to try to go through as much of this as possible.
Are there any additional remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smuckler.
Aye.
Babcock.
Aye.
Schulman.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Fisher. Hall.
Aye.
Mariel.
Aye.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
12 yeas, Mr. President.
The motion carries and ordinances 13 through 23 are a legal part of your agenda. We are now under public hearings and we have no public hearings for this evening. We are now under old business and there is no old business for this evening. We are now under public speaks and we have one speaker for tonight, which I do not see her present, so we shall move on. We are now under informal resolutions and we have two for this evening. Madam Clerk, would you please read informal resolution number 29 by title?
Recognizing September as Prostate Cancer Awareness and Education Month.
Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt informal resolution number 29. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt informal resolution number 29. Are there any remarks?
Mr. President,
Leader?
for the record, can I have this read into council minutes?
Madam Clerk?
Presented by Canton City Council. An informal resolution respectfully submitted by council as a whole on this 27th day of September 2021. Whereas September has been designated as Prostate Cancer Awareness and Education Month, and whereas every 15 minutes another American man dies from prostate cancer. That's a little more than 93 deaths per day. And whereas this year approximately 248,530 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in the United States alone. Of those diagnosed, roughly 34,130 will die from this disease. And whereas in Ohio, an estimated 9,010 new cases of prostate cancer will be diagnosed and an estimated 2,000 deaths will occur this year. Whereas men with relatives, fathers, brothers, sons with a history of prostate cancer are twice as likely to develop the disease. Men who serve in the military and were exposed to chemicals and herbicides are at a higher risk for developing prostate cancer. Whereas 1 in 8 men are diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime, African American men are at the highest risk for the disease at the rate of 1 in 6 and are 2.2 times more likely to die from the disease. And whereas nearly 3.1 million men in the United States are living with the prostate cancer diagnosis, and that number is estimated to climb to 4 million by 2024 as men in the baby boomer generation age. Whereas all men are at risk of prostate cancer. Education regarding this disease and early detection strategies are critical to saving lives and preserving and protecting our families. The economic and social hardship it has on families is huge, as prostate cancer is estimated to cost over $8 billion in direct medical expenditures. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the members of Canton City Council, do hereby go on record in recognition of Prostate Cancer Awareness and Education Month. We strongly encourage the citizens of the City of Canton to increase their awareness of the devastating effects of this disease and the importance of prostate screenings.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any additional remarks? Hearing none by voice vote, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion carries, and informal resolution number 29 is adopted. And informal resolution number 30, please.
Confirm appointment of Mr. Jim Griffin to Tree Commission commencing 9/27/21 to 12/31/23.
Later.
Mr. President, I move we adopt informal resolution number 30.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt informal resolution number 30. Are there any remarks? I know that Mr. Griffin was here, but I don't see him right now. But hearing no additional remarks, by voice vote, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion carries, and informal resolution number 30 is adopted.
Mr. President.
Later.
Before we get into the heart of the meeting, we have a personnel matter to deal with in our office. I'd like to call an executive session to discuss hiring, is that administrative clerk? Administrative clerk in the office of Canton City Council under the personnel of the Sunshine Law. And I would also have every council member remain, the council president and the clerk of council.
Second.
So a motion was made and seconded to go into executive session. Roll call, please.
Smuckler. Aye. Babcock. Aye. Shulman. Aye. Hawk. Aye. Kimbrough. Aye. Scaglione. Aye. Smith. Aye. Fisher. Aye. Hall. Aye. Mariel. Aye. Ferguson. Aye. Morris. Aye. 12 yeas.
You are now in executive session. At this time, I would like to ask everybody to leave the room, please, if you could.
passes, there's reasoning behind it. Okay, now,
And we need to get the administration back on.
I just want to take that back.
Right. Now start cracking the whip. All right. Deputy Mayor, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, we're back on the record, so we're just coming out of executive session. We're now under communications. Let the journal show that all communications are received as read. We're now under ordinances and formal resolutions for their first reading. Madam Clerk, would you please begin with ordinance number 1?
An ordinance amending Exhibit A to Ordinance Number 100, 2011, as amended, the classification plan for non-bargaining unit personnel employed by the City of Canton and declaring the same to be an emergency. Number 2, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or director of public service to enter into contract with MKSK, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $120,000 for the Reimaging Court Avenue Master Plan and Comprehensive Strategy Initiative and declaring the same to be an emergency. Number 3, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or director of public service to advertise, receive bids, award, and enter into contract for the sale of city-owned real property and to enter into all contracts necessary to facilitate the sale of said property and declaring the same to be an emergency. Number 4, an ordinance amending appropriation ordinance number 49, 2021, and declaring the same to be an emergency. Number 5, an ordinance amending appropriation ordinance number 49, 2021, and declaring the same to be an emergency. Number 6, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or director of public service to enter into all agreements necessary for the transfer of the property located at Stark County Auditor Parcel 284-896 for $68,000 to the Board of Education for the Canton City School District pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Sections 3313.39, 163.04, and 163.041, and declaring the same to be an emergency. Number 7, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or director of public service to negotiate and enter into agreement for the purchase of various parcels in a total amount not to exceed $445,000, enter into contract for engineering design services for the renovation of the properties purchased, and open purchase orders in an amount not to exceed $50,000 per purchase order for immediate security upgrades to the site, waiving the informal resolution requirements of Codified Ordinance 105.9 for said upgrades, amending appropriation ordinance number 49, 2021, and declaring the same to be an emergency. Number 8, an ordinance authorizing the clerk of council to certify to the county auditor unpaid and delinquent charges for water, sanitation, and sewer services, and declaring the same to be an emergency. Number 9, a resolution declaring the necessity and the intent to appropriate parcels for the Invest Health Project, establishing the fair market value of real property and declaring the same to be an emergency. Number 10, an ordinance establishing the fair market value of real property, authorizing the mayor, director of public service, or their designee to negotiate with property owners and enter into agreements for fee simple takes and temporary easements, negotiate with property owners and enter into agreements for the purchase, acquisition of their parcels, utilizing fair market value for the Colonial Boulevard Northeast Phase 1 GP 1206 project, declaring the intent to appropriate parcels for the project if a negotiated settlement cannot be reached with parcel owners, and declaring the same to be an emergency. Number 11, a resolution approving the statement of services to be provided to the property owners in the Broadway Avenue 2021 annexation area, the approximate date services will be provided, procedure to reconcile incompatible zoning uses upon its being annexed into the city of Canton, Ohio, and declaring the same to be an emergency. Number 12, a resolution approving the statement of services to be provided to the property owners in the Regent Avenue Northeast City Service Center annexation area. The approximate date services will be provided, procedure to reconcile incompatible zoning uses upon its being annexed to the city of Canton, Ohio, and declaring the same to be an emergency. Number 12A, an ordinance approving and accepting the replat and dedication of Olive Outlot 900 and declaring the same to be an emergency. Mr. President.
This time, the chair would declare an in-house recess for the Public Safety and Thoroughfares and Annexation Committees to meet in regards to ordinances 10 through 12A on your agenda this evening. You are now in recess.
I'm sorry.
Committee meeting?
Yeah. Go ahead, one. Start.
I don't have a folder.
Public safety.
I don't have the paperwork.
Wait a minute, don't do anything. Don't do anything. Wait a minute.
It's coming. It's coming.
Let them figure it out. Wait a minute. Don't wait.
Thank you. All right, thank you. All right. This is the Annexation Committee, 751. This is number 11 on the agenda. The resolution approving, hold on, excuse me, I'm sorry.
I apologize. This is number 11 on your agenda. It's a resolution approving the statement of services to be provided to the property owners in the Broadway Avenue 2021 annexation area. The approximate date of services will be provided, procedure to reconcile incompatible zoning uses upon its being annexed into the city of Canton, Ohio, and declaring the same to be an emergency. Questions or concerns? Hearing none, we will sign this out. This is number 12 on your agenda. It is a resolution approving the statement of services to be provided to the property owners in the Regent Avenue Northeast City Service Center annexation area. The approximate date of service will be provided, procedure to reconcile incompatible zoning uses upon being annexed to the city of Canton, Ohio, and declaring the same to be an emergency. Questions or concerns here? Hearing none, we will sign that out. That concludes Annexation Committee. The time is 7:52.
7:52. I'd like to call to order Public Safety and Thoroughfares Committee. An ordinance approving and accepting the replat of all lots 900 and declaring the same rebar avenue to extension and the same.
And for clarification, this is ordinance 12A.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, yes.
Mr. President, Madam Chair, members of council, with this particular replat, this will create a 92.07 acre parcel and a 40.00 acre parcel. And with this replat, this will allow for future development of the property in question. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Yes, just one, Deputy Mayor. I'm trying to find that rebar avenue. Is that next to the salt bin? Yes, sir.
Madam Chair, Member Hall, rebar is adjacent to the property, and it also touches Route 62.
Gotcha. No, exactly.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
Or concern? Okay. 7:53. 7:54. 7:55. 7:56. 7:57. 7:58. 7:59. 7:60. 7:61. 7:62. 7:63. 7:64. 7:65. 7:66. 7:67. 7:68. 7:69. 7:70. 7:71. 7:72. 7:73. 7:74. 7:75. 7:76. 7:77. 7:78. 7:79. 7:80. 7:81. 7:82. 7:83. 7:84. 7:85. 7:86. 7:87. 7:88. 7:89. 7:90. 7:91. 7:92. 7:93. 7:94. 7:95. 7:96. 7:97. 7:98. 7:99. 7:100. 7:101. 7:102. 7:103. 7:104. 7:105. 7:106. 7:107. 7:108. 7:109. 7:110. 7:111. 7:112. 7:113. 7:114. 7:115. 7:116. 7:117. 7:118. 7:119. 7:120. 7:121. 7:122 Ordinance number 10,
An ordinance establishing the fair market value of a real property, authorizing the mayor, the director of public service, and their designee to negotiate with property owners and to enter into the agreements for fee simple takes and temporary easements, negotiation with property and owners, and enter into an agreement for the purchase and acquisition of their parcels utilizing FMV for the Colonial Boulevard Phase 1, Northeast, that's Phase 1, GP 1206 project, and declaring the appropriate parcels for the project if a negotiated settlement cannot be reached with the parcel owners, and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Madam Chair, members of council, this is follow-up to ordinances 51, 2019, 43, 2021, and 58, 2021, which authorized various parts of the Colonial Boulevard Northeast Phase 1 project set to be bid out next year in 2022. We have approximately $1.9 million in grant funds to go towards this project already, and are seeking additional funds as well. So, good project from that perspective. This is the right-of-way process. There are 35 impacted property owners, from which 41 parcels acquired. The vast majority, and you have a list of all of the property owners and the impacts of the projects. There is an amendment to the ordinance, and it is an update to the list. There were 5 that we were waiting on the final fair market value for, so we have that, updated that prior to passage. So the vast majority of these, as I was saying, are utility easements and temporary easements, and the few takes that are there do not involve buildings or anything like that. It's small in nature, so we do not foresee there being any major problems with this process.
Thank you. Are there any questions or concerns? Hearing none, we'll sign this out at 7:55. Concludes Public Safety and Thoroughfare Committee meeting.
Council is reconvening after the recess, and just for the record, ordinance number 1 is referred to Personnel Committee. Ordinance number 2 referred to Community and Economic Development Committees. Ordinance number 3 referred to Community Economic Development Committee. Ordinance number 4 referred to Finance Committee. Ordinance number 5, referred to Finance Committee. Ordinance number 6, referred to Public Property Capital Improvement Committee. Ordinance number 7, referred to Public Property Capital Improvement Committee. Ordinance number 8 is referred to Environmental and Public Utilities Committee. Ordinance number 9 is referred to Community and Economic Development Committee. Ordinance number 10, referred to Public Safety and Thoroughfares Committee. Ordinance number 11, referred to Annexation Committee. Ordinance number 12, referred to Annexation Committee. And ordinance number 12A is referred to Public Safety and Thoroughfares. Later.
Mr. President, I move we suspend Rule 22A to place ordinances 10 through 12A back on this evening's agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to suspend Rule 22A to place ordinances 10 through 12A back on this evening's agenda. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker.
Aye.
Babcock.
Aye.
Shulman.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Hall.
Aye.
Mariel.
Aye.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
12 yeas, Mr. President.
Ordinances 10 through 12A are a legal part of your agenda. Leader.
Mr. President, I move we amend ordinance number 10. I'm sorry. I know.
Okay,
Just hang on. Mr. President, I move we suspend the statutory rules of ordinances 10 through 12A.
Second.
There's a motion to suspend the statutory rules on ordinances 10 through 12A. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker. Babcock.
Aye.
Shulman.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Hall.
Aye.
Mariel.
Aye.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
12 yeas, Mr. President.
You've heard the 3 readings. Leader.
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 10.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 10. Are there any remarks under this ordinance? Leader Smuckler.
Mr. President, I move we amend ordinance number 10 per the copy that all council members have in front of them.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to amend ordinance number 10 per the copy before each of you. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, by voice vote, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Leader.
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 10 as amended.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 10 as amended. Are there any remarks under this ordinance as amended? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker.
Aye.
Babcock.
Aye.
Shulman.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Kimbrough. Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Hall.
Aye.
Mariel.
Aye.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
12 yeas, Mr. President.
The motion carries and ordinance number 10 as amended has been adopted. Leader.
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 11.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 11. Are there any remarks under this ordinance? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker.
Aye.
Babcock.
Aye.
Shulman.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Hall.
Aye.
Mariel.
Aye.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
12 yeas, Mr. President.
The motion carries and ordinance number 11 has been adopted. Leader.
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 12.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 12. Are there any remarks under this ordinance? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker.
Aye.
Babcock.
Aye.
Shulman.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Hall.
Aye.
Mariel.
Aye.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
12 yeas, Mr. President.
The motion carries and ordinance number 12 has been adopted. Leader.
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 12A.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 12A. Are there any remarks under this ordinance? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Smucker. Babcock.
Aye.
Shulman. Hawk. Kimbrough. Scaglione. Smith. Fisher. Hall. Merrill. Ferguson. Morris. 12 yeas, Mr. President.
The motion carries and ordinance number 12A has been adopted. We are now under ordinances and formal resolutions for their second reading. Madam Clerk, would you please begin with ordinance number 13?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor or director of public service to enter into a purchase agreement with the Downtown Canton Land Bank, DCLB Corp., in an amount not to exceed $1,250,000 of issue 13 comprehensive plan funds for the purchase of the Nationwide building. Enter into a service agreement with the Canton Community Corp. Improvement Corp., CCIC, utilizing issue 13 comprehensive plan funds in an amount not to exceed $300,000 in order for the CCIC to provide all necessary carrying costs associated with the building and declaring the same to be an emergency. Number 14, an ordinance...
Whoa. I need to have some action on this, and I told you we would have to stop on an individual basis here. I asked for this to be postponed 2 weeks ago, and I did it for a reason, again, because I knew I couldn't be here and I had been a part of this for 2 years. I'm going to ask tonight that we suspend statutory 3 readings of ordinance number 13.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to suspend the statutory rules for the 3 readings on 22A on ordinance number 13. Are there any remarks? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Smucker. Babcock.
Aye.
Shulman. Hawk. Kimbrough. Scaglione. Smith. Fisher. Hall. Merrill. Ferguson. Morris. 11 yeas, 1 nay, Mr. President.
Motion carries. Leader Smuckler.
If I'm doing this right, Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 13.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to adopt ordinance number 13. Are there any remarks?
Mr. President.
Leader.
2 weeks ago, knowing that I had COVID, I asked the finance chairman to postpone this for 2 weeks so I couldn't be here. And in doing so, Mr. Morris alluded to something that happens with the majority leader every time there's something that happens in this council, especially something that's very important. For 2 years, Mayor Burnaby has been keeping me informed of what's been going on with the Nationwide building, from the purchase by the land bank to asking me if we wanted to put money into the facility so we don't board it up, so there's not weeds growing all over the place, so that there was security in the building and there was heating and cooling continuing while the building was shown. Especially being in the position that the Nationwide building is so close to the Civic Center, the last thing I wanted was a unkept, closed up building in that area. I believe this is in Ward 2, is that correct?
That's it.
And this has been done with majority leaders throughout the years. My first time served here with Member Smith, we talked about the hotel and had a small meeting with that. We try to do that. It's impossible to go through and inform 13, 12 different people what's going on every week with something. Folks, the land bank's out of money. And I know about responsibilities. This has been a working hand-in-hand relationship with the chamber, and every time we come down here, we point that out when we ask for the money for the chamber. It's impossible, based on our finances up until the tax was passed, for us to do all of this. We did not have that kind of budget. Under Councilwoman Smith's leadership, under the mayor's leadership, we passed the tax. We have COVID money. We're in good shape. You know, everybody's fluffed over this other part, and I guess I'll be the elephant in the room that finally says it. This city's on a turnaround. It's the worst kept secret in history of what's going on at Skylar Pines. 1,500 to 2,000 jobs. We have an opportunity here to do something with the Rankert building right across the street. That's even more jobs. We have an opportunity to do something with the Nationwide building. That's more jobs. We have other problems coming up on the future. It's not all roses. AEP is moving. We're going to have a huge building downtown again. You know, I sat here in the 1980s and I watched everybody close up Bliss Tower and the Onesta. And downtown was drowning. We need to save Nationwide. We have an attractive piece of property, just like we had an attractive piece of property at Skyland Pines. I know everybody has the answer of figuring out what real estate's supposed to be, but guess what? I want to trust the experts every once in a while, other than this trust what could be, what should be, what might be. I am asking you all to support me in what I made the promise to here a couple years ago, that we would make sure that the Nationwide building was not boarded up, that the Nationwide building would be marketed, and it would be on a joint effort. And I need your support tonight. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Are there any additional remarks?
Mr. President.
Member Morris.
Thank you. All right, my turn. We don't want a boarded up building. We don't want an eyesore. But across the street from this very building, we have an eyesore. Okay, the eyesore across the street houses 2 events per month. That eyesore is the Civic Center. Okay, the chamber is a good partner of ours. I don't know what you guys are seeing as a return, but I see this as a corporate bailout. Offer them a grant, keep them afloat. Don't take on somebody else's financial burden. AEP is going to be vacant. Are we going to line up and buy that one too? Or how about the Rankert building? Okay, what if the land bank's financial woes continue? Are we going to line up and buy that one too? Are we going into the real estate business? Yes, the city is on the cusp and things are going good. But it isn't going to stay this way if we squander issue 13 money like my biggest fear was. I've had a lot of criticisms and I've said a lot of things that a lot of you don't agree, but there's one thing that I have never, ever looked at this administration and said, that you are fiscally irresponsible. They have managed our money well. They do an extremely good job of watching the budget. But this is by far the most foolish thing that we as a legislative authority can possibly do is to buy a building in the name of making sure it doesn't become a vacant building. Newsflash, there's nobody in the building now. We can fund them, we can give them money to keep them afloat without getting into the real estate business, because mark my words, AEP is next and a Rankard building's not far behind. Thank you, Mr. President.
Are there any additional remarks?
Mr. President.
Member Merrill.
During my time on council, and I think, we've all voted on these things, knowing the cost of owning a building, not the initial cost, but the ongoing costs, has led us to be very careful about acquiring new buildings and, when we can, getting out of buildings that we have. Sorelli Building is a great example of this. Nationwide is almost the same square footage as City Hall. The expenses that we have into City Hall, we are, depending on how long we hold this property, going to have on this property. So then we have to ask ourselves, is the nationwide building something that we can move quickly? Now we're talking 149,000 square feet in a building that is 40, 50 years old, of cubicle office space that, emerging from a pandemic, we are seeing that more and more people are working remotely. We are going to be marketing a building that was built for an economy of the past that is changing rapidly. My fear is that the market for this building isn't going to be very strong. We are going to be looking for an incredibly unique business, a business that is bucking the trend of the future and deciding to invest and double down on a brick and mortar facility to have cubicle office people rather than having them work at home like many of their peers in the different industries would. I am incredibly hesitant to spend $1.25 million to purchase a building, and beyond that, I am incredibly nervous to have the $200,000 per year of ongoing costs to maintain this building. We are in good financial shape now, but we weren't very long ago, and those things can change rapidly. So for those reasons, I cannot support this. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Leader.
I heard this same news flash about the Bliss and the Onesta. The money would never be paid back. Onesta's already been paid back. This community takes chances. That's how we built the Hall of Fame. Now, I know that's not a popular aspect down here with some of the council people either. But I'm telling you, that's jobs. It's construction jobs. It's permanent jobs. And what's going to be done there in the next few years is just short of amazing. We have taken risks. That's what economic development is all about. It's taking risks. Now, you may say that's the wave of the future. I say that it's a possibility here very shortly that we have someone else online. Now, the land bank's at the end of the road. Now, if Nationwide would have come to us and said, here's the building for $500,000, would we have taken it or just boarded it up? And then maintained the building right along and skipped the land bank? That's what economic development is all about, risks.
Are there any additional remarks?
Mr. President.
Member Hawk.
I will not be as eloquent or as long-winded, but it's basically simple. There's a huge difference between a vacant building and a derelict building. And what we're voting on here is to prevent it from becoming a derelict building. If we ever look to our future, now's the time. We're under exceptionally poor economic conditions. The COVID has affected a lot of things economically. I think it's going to bounce back, so I will be voting in the affirmative to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Hawk.
Mr. President.
Mayor.
I ask council for their adoption of this, please. I second the remarks made by Majority Leader Smuggler. I also second the information provided to you by Deputy Mayor Fonda Williams as well as by Mr. Dappler of the Land Bank. This is a very, very important acquisition. It is a key piece of downtown property, entryway corridor property opposite the Civic Center and the Cultural Center. Contrary to the comments earlier made, the Civic Center is not an eyesore, and the Civic Center is an ongoing and will be a viable asset to the city of Canton. That is why we continue to operate it. To clarify, this does not provide a profit to the land bank. They are our partner in many downtown economic developments, and we are repaying them the money that they have expended in the acquisition and maintenance of this building. If they had not taken title to this property in May of 2019, the city of Canton would have, and if all things worked out the same, to include the occurrence of COVID, which interrupted the commercial real estate market, we, the city, would already have expended the $1.25 million that we were talking about today. This, very importantly, protects other land bank assets downtown because they are at the point of having cash flow limitations or at the end of their cash flow. I would like to emphasize, particularly to Member Mariel, that we took a much larger risk with regard to the Lehman Building, which sits in his ward. We held that building probably for 10 to 15 years. Again, a tremendous risk, and had we not worked and reworked to obtain a developer, that building, and you're very familiar with that, would have cost in excess of $1 million in demolition cost, and more frightening, we would have then had a large hole in the ground in the middle of that neighborhood. So economic development is worth taking the risks, and we intend to pursue it aggressively, and we are very, very hopeful of obtaining positive results as we have done with everything else.
Thank you, Mayor. Are there any additional remarks? Hearing none, a roll call vote, please, on ordinance number 13.
Smuggler.
Aye.
Babcock.
Aye.
Schulman.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Fisher.
No.
Hall.
Aye.
Mariel.
No.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Morris.
No.
9 yeas, 3 nays, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 13 has been adopted. Madam Clerk, would you continue on with ordinance number 14, please?
An ordinance designating the zoning for the territory known as the Skyland Pines 2021 annexation area containing approximately 5.561 acres as I-1 light industrial and assigning the territory to Ward 6 and declaring the same to be an emergency. 15, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or director of public safety to enter into agreement for and accept $131,181.25 from the Department of Homeland Security to Assistance to Firefighters Grant, advertise, receive bids, award, and enter into contract for the purchase of the Cascade System for breathing apparatus for the fire department, and enter into contract for purchase of said items in accordance with any procurement process authorized by law, authorizing the auditor to rename the 2775 Safe Neighborhood Heroes Grant Fund to the 2775-2020 Assistance to Firefighters Grant Fund, amending appropriation ordinance number 49-2021 and declaring the same to be an emergency. 16, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or director of public service to enter into design and/or construction oversight contract for the Market Avenue South Streetscape Project, GP 1319, amending appropriation ordinance number 49-2021 and declaring the same to be an emergency. 17, an ordinance amending appropriation ordinance number 49-2021 and declaring the same to be an emergency. 18, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or director of public service to enter into a funding agreement in the amount of $5 million with the Canton Community Improvement Corporation, amending appropriation ordinance number 49-2021 and declaring the same to be an emergency. 19, An ordinance accepting the annexation of the territory known as the Skyland Pines 2021 annexation area containing approximately 5.561 acres and declaring the same to be an emergency. 20. An ordinance authorizing...
Mr. President.
I know this is messed up, but I just don't even know how to fix it.
If I may
Mayor?
clarify, I believe that 18 and 19 were discussed in committee and therefore signed out for second reading. I do not think that 20, 21, 22, and 23 were discussed in committee, so they have not been signed out for second reading, so they need to be considered originally. We have, to clarify, we have second readings on 18 and 19, is that correct?
Let's take this one at a time. I think I can do this. Let's start with 18. Mr. President, I move we suspend statutory rules of ordinance number 18.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to suspend the statutory rules on ordinance number 18.
Correct.
Are there any remarks?
Now, we need, and I'm going to do for both of these, 19, we don't have to have committee meeting on, or we do, clerk? We do for both of those. Okay, so I want to amend mine to make it 18 and 19.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to
Suspend statutory three readings of 18 and 19?
They all have to be suspended.
I understand that, but so there's less confusion. I want to do those two. The other four were from last week, so I just want to do those two right now.
Motion's been made and seconded to suspend the statutory rules on
18 and 19.
Ordinances 18 and 19. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smuggler.
Aye.
Babcock. Shulman. Hawk. Kimbrough. Scaglione. Smith. Fisher. Hall. Merrill. Ferguson. Morris. 12 yeas, Mr. President.
Later.
Mr. President, and I just want to clarify this, clerk, 18 and 19 already had committee hearings, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I thought so. Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 18.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt ordinance number 18. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smuggler.
Aye.
Babcock.
Aye.
Shulman. Hawk. Kimbrough. Scaglione. Smith. Fisher. Hall. Merrill. Ferguson. Morris. 12 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 18 is adopted.
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 19.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 19. Are there any remarks?
Mr. President.
Leader.
I know we're coming up on the final pieces of all this, and what I said before still stands. I mean, the people that were involved in all this for Skyland Pines, somewhere down the road, someone will talk about a big change in this community. And congratulated everybody that has worked on this. And I think this is a fantastic opportunity for Canton, Ohio.
Are there any additional remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smuggler.
Aye.
Babcock.
Aye.
Shulman. Hawk. Kimbrough. Scaglione. Smith. Fisher. Hall. Merrill. Ferguson. Morris. 12 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 19 is adopted. Leader, shall we continue on with ordinance number 20?
Well, we're going to do 20 through 23 together since they already had committee hearings.
Member Smuggler may offer the suggestion that we do these one at a time, please.
Okay, but I was going to suspend statutory 3 readings altogether.
I don't know that you have not had committee on 20, 21, 22, and 23.
We had committees at the last meeting, and the law director said we did not need to have committees again this meeting.
You had a committee meeting at the last meeting was on first reading.
Correct.
And so you're saying that the committee meeting that you had at the last meeting on September 13th on first reading was valid?
Correct.
And Law Director, can you clarify that for us, or is that correct?
We can't hear.
Somebody needs to let her know.
She's trying.
Chris, are you able to hear
me
us?
now?
Yeah, we got you.
I can hear you. Okay. We had committee meetings on the floor for those ordinances upon first reading. And I discussed this with Clerk Wood as well as Majority Leader Smuckler. I believe those committee meetings are valid because we don't need the 9 votes other than to move them further more quickly. But we could still have the committee meetings early. However, if anyone is uncomfortable, if they would like to add more, I did say to both Clerk Wood and Majority Leader Smuckler, they could hold additional comment if they wished. But I did not feel they needed an additional committee meeting as we did hold them just upon the floor.
And Madam Law Director, I would just ask the question, this is the mayor, my concern would be whether or not there is a council rule that permits a committee reading to be held on a first reading rather than when it's on the agenda coming up for a second reading. Just to make sure, I want to be safe with these, yes.
Right. It's very strange. It doesn't really talk about when the committee meetings definitely have to be made. And it says that anything other than moving it forward to be passed on less than 3 readings can be done with 8 votes. So, as I said, I don't think we have to do further committee meetings, but if in abundance of caution you would feel better, that's perfectly okay. But 8 votes seem to be enough to hold committee meetings in a method other than what we usually do. And we had 8 people.
It's not my call to make. I wasn't here.
As I said, if in abundance of caution it would make you feel better, you can have further committee meetings on.
It's always better to err on caution and send this out for another half hour. Let's go. All right. So we're going to take these one at a time. Do you actually need a motion to declare an in-house recess and to do a committee on this?
I believe we do.
No, because they're on second reading now. They have actually advanced from first reading to second reading now in a natural way. We could have done these earlier during committee meeting, so I'm not sure what you guys want to do now. I guess you'll have to adjourn to have additional committee, but we usually don't do that, so.
So to err on the side of caution, what do you want me to suspend? Anything, or just call for committee meetings and go into committee meetings?
Call for committee meetings on the floor.
At this time, we will go into committee for ordinance number 20.
What you gonna read?
Mr. President,
Member Merrill.
it is 8:34. We're going to call finance. We have ordinance number 20, ordinance authorizing the Canton Board of Park Commissioners to enter into a professional services contract with MKSK Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $49,000 and declaring the same to be an emergency. We've all heard from Mr. Foltz on this. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll sign it out. Move on to ordinance number 22. Ordinance authorizing the mayor, service director, Canton Board of Park Commissioners to enter into a design contract for Crenshaw Park Shelter Project. Amend appropriation ordinance number 49/2021 and declaring the same to be an emergency. We've also heard about this one. Any questions? Hearing none, sign it out. 8:35, that concludes finance.
Thank you, Member Merrill.
Mr. President,
Member Babcock.
8:35, we'll call personnel. Number 23, authorizing hiring of Mr. Derek Lloyd to fill the position of Supervisor of Pump and Supply Maintenance and Water Department at an annual salary of $70,000, declaring the same to be an emergency. And we heard about this 2 weeks ago from Director Hyman.
Thank you, Member Babcock.
That concludes personnel. It's 8:36.
Mr. President,
Leader.
we're going to have to redistribute these. Please sign next to your name that you signed 2 weeks ago, that we just had another committee meeting.
And Member Smucker, we still need a committee reading on number 21.
I understand that, but that's why we're walking around it.
And Law Director, just for double clarification, that we do not need to vote to go into committee, correct? Right?
No. And again, I feel that the initial committees are sufficient. They were done in public. They are on your record. You heard from all interested parties, and now you simply reopened, I guess, for extra comment.
Thank you, Law Director.
It is 8:41, and this is a joint committee of Environmental and Public Utilities and Finance, ordinance number 21. Authorize mayor, service director, or their designee to establish fair market value real property, enter into agreements for purchase acquisition of these parcels, enter into agreements for sale or donation of city-owned property for permanent road right-of-way, utility easements, and/or temporary construction easements for Allen Avenue Southeast area sanitary sewer and water line project, and declare the same to be an emergency. Questions or comments? We'll send this out at 8:42.
Either way.
Oh, personnel.
I have to do
Oh, over here, right?
You're good.
She's not right. Exactly, no, we'll meet at 5 o'clock.
No, that's fine.
What they doing?
You're awesome.
They got about that
Yes,
by now.
thank you. No.
Ready? And all four, Madam Clerk, all four are signed off on by committees?
Mm-hmm.
You ready? Okay.
Are we good yet?
Yep.
Good?
Yes.
All right, later.
Mr. President, I move we suspend Rule 22A and add ordinances now 20 through 23 back to the agenda.
Second.
For clarity, majority leaders suspend the statutory rules?
Yeah. This is not a statutory rule.
Okay.
So each adding back to the agenda.
No, I'm adding it back to the agenda.
Okay. So motion was made and seconded to,
Add ordinances 20 through 23 back to the agenda.
ordinances 20 through 23 back to this evening's agenda. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no.
That's a roll call.
It should be just a voice vote. To throw it back on the agenda?
No. That's a roll call.
Well, we'll just do a roll call vote. Roll call vote, please, Madam Clerk.
Smucker.
Aye.
Babcock.
Aye.
Shulman.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Fisher. Hall.
Aye.
Merrill.
Aye.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
12 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries, and ordinance number 20 through 23 are a legal part of your agenda, Leader.
Mr. President, if I'm doing this correctly, I move and suspend statutory 3 readings of ordinances 20, 21, 22, and 23.
A second.
Motion's been made and seconded to suspend the statutory rules on ordinances 20, 21, 22, and 23. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker.
Aye.
Babcock.
Aye.
Shulman.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Hall.
Aye.
Merrill.
Aye.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
12 yeas, Mr. President.
You've heard your 3 readings, Leader.
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 20.
Second.
It's been made and seconded to adopt ordinance number 20. Are there any remarks under this ordinance? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker.
Aye.
Babcock.
Aye.
Shulman.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Hall.
Aye.
Merrill.
Aye.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
12 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries, and ordinance number 20 is adopted. Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 21.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 21. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker.
Aye.
Babcock.
Aye.
Shulman.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith. Fisher. Hall.
Aye.
Merrill.
Aye.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Morris.
Aye.
12 yeas, Mr. President.
The motion carries, and ordinance number 21 has been adopted. Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 22.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 22. Are there any remarks under this ordinance? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker. Babcock.
Aye.
Shulman. Hawk. Kimbrough. Scaglione. Smith. Fisher. Hall. Merrill. Ferguson. Morris. 12 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 22 has been adopted. Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 23.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 23. Are there any remarks under this ordinance? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker. Babcock.
Aye.
Shulman. Hawk. Kimbrough. Scaglione. Smith. Fisher. Hall. Merrill. Ferguson. Morris. 12 yeas, Mr. President.
The motion carries and ordinance number 23 has been adopted. We are now under ordinances and formal resolutions for their third, final reading and vote. Madam Clerk, would you please begin with ordinance number 24?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor or director of public safety to enter into a parking incentive agreement with Parcher Realty Team, Howard Hanna, and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 24.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 24. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker.
Aye.
Babcock.
Aye.
Shulman. Hawk. Kimbrough. Scaglione. Smith. Fisher. Hall. Merrill. Ferguson. Morris. 12 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 24 is adopted. Ordinance number 25, please.
An ordinance amending appropriation ordinance number 49, 2021, and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 25.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that you adopt ordinance number 25. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker. Babcock.
Aye.
Shulman. Hawk. Kimbrough. Scaglione. Smith. Fisher. Hall. Merrill. Ferguson. Morris. 12 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 25 is adopted. Ordinance number 26, please.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor or director of public service to advertise, receive bids, award, and enter into contract for the sale of city-owned real property no longer needed for municipal purposes, located at Stark County Auditor Parcel Number 226530, and to enter into all contracts necessary to facilitate said sale, and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Leader?
Mr. President, I move we adopt ordinance number 26.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt ordinance number 26. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Smucker. Babcock. Shulman. Hawk. Kimbrough. Scaglione. Smith. Fisher. Hall. Merrill. Ferguson. Morris. 12 yeas, Mr. President.
Motion carries and ordinance number 26 is adopted. We are now under announcement of committee meetings. Our next meeting date will be October 18th, 2021 at 6:15 p.m.
Mr. President,
Member Merrill.
Finance will meet October 18th at 6:15 here in council chambers.
Thank you, Member Merrill. Member Ferguson.
October 18th to 6:15, Economic Development, please.
Thank you, Member Ferguson.
Mr. President,
Member Babcock.
personnel, same time, same place.
Thank you, Member Babcock.
President,
Member Scaglione.
property capital improvement will meet same time, same place.
Thank you, Member Scaglione.
Mr. President,
Member Fisher.
October 18th, 6:15 p.m., Environmental and Public Utilities.
Thank you, Member Fisher. And Public Property and Capital Improvement, Member Hawk. Oh, sorry about that. Is this for clerk?
Let me check that.
There you go. All right, we're now under miscellaneous business. Is there any miscellaneous business for this evening besides the extremely long meeting tonight? All right. Has anybody got anything? Hearing none.
Yeah, I have one thing, and then I'll let this go. Those of you who had the opportunity last Saturday to be at Centennial was amazing. And for all of us that passed the legislation, for all of the donors, for the mayor and the administration, that is just amazing for our city. And if you wander over there, any Ohio State game or any Cleveland Browns game, the infield is packed and there's people out there watching the games. We've created something in this community that we all can be proud of, and it's doing a lot to bring people back downtown. And if you want to see sort of your ward residents, show up there for a Browns game or a Ohio State game. You will see them there. Truly amazing. And Mr. President, unless we're keeping something I don't know about, I move we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Smucker.
Aye.
Babcock.
Aye.
Shulman.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Kimbrough.
Aye.
Scaglione.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Fisher. Hall.
Aye.
Mariel.
Aye.
Ferguson. Morris.
Aye.
12 yeas, Mr. President.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you for coming this evening.